Mystery surrounded this year's Vintage Grand Prix weekend, and investigative reporter Joe Tierno was hot on the trail of a salad bar once driven by Dave Marcis.
Welcome to Watkins Glen, where the latest breaking story is the theft of a salad bar from a famous restaurant in Michigan. We have worked diligently to track down this salad bar, even though it's been cleverly disguised as a race car. We have here the gentleman who is the owner and driver. Would you please tell us your name, please? Remember, we have a witness protection program, too.
My name's Bob Tayo Jr.
And where do you live, Bob?
Rochester, New York.
Rochester, New York. Okay. Now, I was watching you at turn 11, and I noticed a tremendous amount of oversteer and fluid coming out. Was that Caesar salad or Italian oil that you had coming out of your car?
Don't tell anybody, we had blue cheese in it today.
Blue cheese, my personal favorite. Well, let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. This car has a wonderful history, and I know that you've been racing at Watkins Glen a number of years. How long have you started, or when did you start racing?
Well, I started racing stock cars in the early 70s, and then Mark Simmons, our crew chief here, and I were partners in an MG Midget, and we ran that through the 70s and the 80s. And then we took a little time off to have a family, and now we're back at it. So we started racing this car again in 2006.
So now that the real world has faded in the distance, you can come here to Watkins Glen and do what really matters, and that's the race. Well, I watched this car a couple of times before, and I really like it. Why don't we just take a look at it, and as we do, maybe you can explain some of the graphics and some of the ownership.
Well, this car has a very interesting history. It is a 1983 Winston Cup car. It's a Banjo Mathis chassis with an Oldsmobile body on it. And the way it is right now, it was driven by Dave Marcis, owned and driven by Dave Marcis, who is my personal hero in Winston Cup racing. He raced for 5 decades as an independent, and he won 5 races in his career and had over 800 starts, second only to Richard Petty, and he did it all without any major sponsorship. So we found this car on the internet as a Dave Marcis car, and like an idiot, I bought it, much to my wife's chagrin, and we did some research on it. We found that after the car was retired, it was the bars in the front and the rear were taken out, and stainless steel tubs were made, and it was used as a salad bar in a restaurant called Throttles in Michigan. And the way we found out that is the car was, when we bought it, was painted green. It had Hamilgarn Racing on it, which was an IndyCar team. So I sent Ron Hamilgarn a letter, and he's the one that told us, oh yeah, that was a salad bar in Throttles restaurant in Michigan. And he used it he had an IndyCar team. He won, I think, 1985 Indy 500 with Buddy Lazier as a driver, and they were just doing some publicity stuff, so that's how it happened. So we called up Dave, and he said, yeah, that's my car. He said, I had so many cars, I don't know which one it was, but if that was from that restaurant, this was my car. So then we started the restoration, and Dave helped us a little bit over the phone, and now we're wingtip racing is what we call ourselves. I'm the least important person on the whole team. I have a whole bunch of guys that help me. Mark Simmons, my crew chief, and then I got Jack Clark and Cliff Wake and Doug Cross and Paul St. Dennis, and we have a whole lot of fun, and we lie a lot and drink a lot of beer.
You know, that's always the best part. Tell us about some of your competitors.
Well, today, for example, we were racing against Trans Am cars, which are quite a bit more modern and probably over 1,000 pounds lighter, a lot bigger brakes, a lot bigger motors. But we just watch our mirrors, and we finished mid-pack, and if the tires didn't go away, I think we would have done a little bit better. But it's a heavy car, and a hot day like this, it just wants to drift on me, and I can't do much about it.
Because I'm so old, I remember when Banjo Matthews was a ukulele. That was his nickname around the shop. Mark Simmons. Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Did you get the olive oil cleaned off of your hands already?
Yes, sir. We're all cleaned up. Yep.
Tell us about your participation with this car.
Well, Bob and I, we along with the other guys that Bob mentioned, we did all the rebuild on it. And,
Who does the most beer drinking?
a couple of our teammates. We don't want to mention their names, but yeah, they do their share. We all do our share, I guess. So I help with the mechanical part and the restoration. So we all kind of chip in and do whatever needs to be done.
And now it's a lot of work to maintain a race car. And again, you're amateurs. I mean, no one's paying you any money to do this. The driver doesn't get anything. There's no prize money. You do it for the love. How long have you had this love for racing?
Well, Bob and I, because we've known each other forever, so we've been involved in racing since, like he said, mid-'70s, and really never totally got out of it. So
Now, does he ever let you race it?
I haven't driven this car, no, but maybe sometime. We don't know yet.
Did you ever race the midget?
Yes, we used to share the thing, and both of us were actually New York State champions in that car, and we still have a lap record from the old track that'll never go away with that car, so that's kind of interesting.
So obviously you got the right-hand turns down pretty well.
We figured it out a little bit, yeah.
Let's take a look at the inside of the car, because this is beautifully prepared.
When we got it, there wasn't much left of it, so that was a big challenge, was just to figure out what went where and make it work. So that took a lot of our time, just locating where the motor was going to be and how to make everything go together and fit. And but it all, over a period of 3 or 4 years, we figured it out and got it all hooked up.
Including the engine rebuilds? You guys actually rebuild your own engines?
We have a guy in Rochester who
okay.
Speed, who builds the engine.
Okay. How long do you go before an engine rebuild?
This motor will last almost 2 seasons without a rebuild.
2 seasons. That's staggering. It's a wonderful testament to your engine builder. Well, let me ask another question. How often do you guys get to the races? I mean, I know you're at Watkins Glen, but have you ever been to, say, Most Sport or Road America, other tracks like that?
This year we went to Atlanta for the first time for the Midi, and that was an interesting race. We've gone Nelson Ledges. Next year we're talking about trying VIR and maybe someday Sebring for the Vintage.
Sebring, I can attest to Sebring is worth the expense to do it once in your life, because you obviously have a road racing background and appreciation for it. And Sebring, like Watkins Glen, are 2 of the best racetracks in the country as far as I'm concerned, in terms of history and ambiance. And I think Sebring would be a good venture for you. From Watkins Glen, I'm Joe Tierno for the Race Report.